Well, we know as our older populations age and get closer to that elderly age, more ailments come into play. Perhaps it becomes tougher for them to remain independent and remain safe in their homes. One local nonprofit is working to help make those situations a lot better for our elder populations, and that is the Interfaith Volunteer Caregivers, one of over 350 charities and nonprofits supported on the Shared Detroit platform. Joining us now from Interfaith Volunteer Caregivers is Stacey Conte, their Community Outreach Coordinator. Stacey, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you on as we talk about this issue. It's something that affects many of those in our elder population in our local area. How do they balance keeping their independence and living out a normal and a high quality of life every single day, but also balancing their differing needs as they age, especially if they're suffering from a variety of different ailments in the process? So how does your organization come into play to help them navigate these sort of situations?
Yeah, so we are a completely volunteer group that provides free volunteer assistance to low-income seniors and disabled adults with the hope of helping them remain independent in their own homes longer. A lot of folks want to remain in their own homes versus moving into assisted living and feel that sense of independence still as they age. And sometimes they just need help with simple tasks to really get them by and be able to live independently and live in their own home. So what our volunteers do is provide those services, and our motto is neighbors helping neighbors. So it's exactly what our volunteers do. It's things that neighbors would do to help another neighbor. And that includes rides to the doctors, light housekeeping, indoor and outdoor chores, grocery shopping, minor home repairs, and then helping to combat some of that loneliness with our friendly visit and friendly phone call services as well. Again, just simple things that really make a huge difference in people that are aging and wanting to be able to remain in their own home without assistance.
And these services and resources are important to maintain that sense of independence, to keep them in their homes, which is a crucial part, especially in our elder populations, of maintaining a certain quality of life that often, unfortunately, is lost at that particular age, especially if there are other factors such as medical issues or mental health issues that may come into play. And so has this been a growing issue, have you found, over the past several years, given the loneliness of the COVID-19 pandemic, some of the extra safety constraints that maybe have come in play, and how is that factored into the services that your organization is providing?
Yeah, I would say especially with the pandemic, just such an uptick in people who are lonely or not able to get out and do their shopping because they might be immunocompromised with the pandemic happening. So we really did see an uptick in the need for these types of services. And we did halt our services for a brief amount of time during the pandemic, just for the safety of not only our volunteers, but our seniors as well. But as we've reopened fully since the pandemic's kind of slowed down a little bit here, we're back to full services and then some, because of all the need that kind of built up through the pandemic. Again, getting to the store, that's something that was such a hard thing to do, but especially the loneliness, I would say, just those visits and those phone calls, interaction with other people from those folks that are homebound and might not have any other family or friends available or around to keep them company or to help combat that isolation. So yes, there was a huge difference when the pandemic hit. It was a growing need before then, but that really did take a big toll on that population. And we're just trying to catch up now with all those types of needs and requests that resulted from the pandemic.
Interfaith Volunteer Caregivers is serving individuals in elder and disabled populations in our local area, both here in Oakland County as well as Macomb and St. Clair counties. You can find more information on how to get access to some of these services for yourself or a loved one, as well as ways to get involved at ivcinfo.org, ivcinfo.org, or search Interfaith Volunteer Caregivers in the Find a Nonprofit section on sharedetroit.org. Stacey Conte, the Community Outreach Coordinator for Interfaith Volunteer Caregivers, joins us on today's edition of the Megacast. In terms of these caregivers that you mentioned, everyone that works in your organization is a volunteer. They're going out into these communities in the Tri-County area, helping individuals in a number of different ways. What sort of training do your volunteers undergo in order to provide these services in an effective way, but also a safe way, given that each and every one of these individuals you're serving has different needs and is in a different situation?
Yeah, so we have anybody interested in volunteering come in and meet our staff for a volunteer interview. And at that point, we discuss what are they interested in doing, because anything I mentioned earlier, rides, visits, housekeeping, are volunteer opportunities that somebody can do. So we talk about what they're interested in, when they're available to help, how often they want to help. And we fill out paperwork that indicates all that, so that we only ask them about requests for those types of services. And then we run background checks on all of our volunteers too. So we would authorize that day. After the interview, the volunteer would come back for a new volunteer orientation. It's about a 2-hour presentation where we talk about what to do if there's an emergency with the senior while you're with them, processes on how you're going to be getting requests from us, ways to be empathetic toward our seniors, and just being aware of the physical, mental, and emotional changes they might be facing as they age, and just being patient and kind with when working with the seniors and offering them these services. So we do cover a lot of ground in those 2 hours, and it really not only talks about physical processes and things like that they'll go through as they serve with us, but again, more of those emotional and important mental health type of topics that we would talk about when working with seniors. So it just really is a great orientation. It covers a lot of bases, and I feel like that the volunteers do feel fully prepared to service those in need after the orientation, but we're always available for questions as well.
And Stacey, you're on the forefront of this. You're communicating with these volunteers, with individuals that have these needs for these services and these resources in their homes, to stay in their homes. Just how much of a difference does this make in the lives of older individuals in our communities and disabled adults in our communities to be able to have access to these services from volunteers in our local area?
It makes a huge difference. There's been so many testaments from people we've helped that just the simple things that our volunteers are able to do, again, helping to rake leaves in their yard, driving them to an important doctor's appointment, visiting them once a week, it really does fill that gap that they need to be able to live independently. And to them, that just is all they want in the world. And a lot of our volunteers come out and say that they get out of this experience more than they put in, because it really is so rewarding and it does make a huge difference. And the appreciation that the people you're helping have is so great, and they're so great about letting our volunteers know how appreciative they are and how much of a difference it makes. But we know for a fact, we've run the numbers, that these types of services really do make a huge difference, and help seniors be able to stay in their own homes as long as they want to and live independently as much as they want to.
And you don't have to be necessarily an expert in senior care or in general caregiving in order to volunteer, get that training, and make these sorts of impacts. So if people want to get involved, what steps should they take to be able to provide this sort of help, this critical care to people right here in Oakland County as well as in our neighboring areas?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, you don't have to have any type of formal training. We give you any information that you'll need to be able to serve. And what's great about our volunteer opportunities is that they're super flexible. So again, you pick what you want to do, when you want to do it. We have folks that help once a week, once a month, once a year, and anytime you're willing to give is just makes such a huge difference. So we have that conversation about what you want to do, and we are with you every step of the way to help in your service. But if you want to take the first step and become a volunteer with us, you can visit our website, website, ivcinfo.org. There is a inquiry form. You can call our office at 586-757-5551 and let us know that you're interested in volunteering, not only individually, but we also do group projects too. So if you have a youth group or a school group or a church group looking to give back to the community, we have yard work projects. We've had groups do food drives for us. So just lots of opportunities. And the first step is just letting us know you're interested, and then we're with you every step of the way to help provide those services and make a difference.
Stacey, if people want to get involved in other ways, you mentioned a couple ways that they can help the organization without necessarily having to volunteer their time and work directly with individuals. What are some other ways that people can support your organization, its mission, and the resources and services it's providing here in Oakland County, as well as our neighboring areas each and every day?
Yeah, so besides directly volunteering your time, we are always accepting donations. We are a donation-based organization, so you can call us and let us know you're interested in donating, and we can walk you through that. Or there's a donation button on our website. We always are in need of donations of supplies, like office supplies, because we try not to use any funding on those types of things. We have multiple fundraisers a year, so you can attend one of our fundraisers. You can help plan one of our fundraisers. You can volunteer at one of our fundraisers. You can also even just spread the word about the program. We have multiple churches in the community that will put a bulletin ad about our program so that people that need the help are aware. People who want to volunteer know that there's that opportunity. So even just being able to advertise for us in any way at a senior center, at a church, that really is another big way you can help with our mission and spreading the word.
Again, their website, ivcinfo.org, ivcinfo.org, or visit sharedetroit.org for more information on Interfaith Volunteer Caregivers and over 350 other charities and nonprofits. You can also reach IVC by calling them 586-757-5551, 586-757-5551. Stacey, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. Have a good rest of your day.